Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago I played along to a little video that was done by the Jubilee channel. It was specifically the video, do all transgender people think the same? And you guys really liked that video, and honestly it was so fun to make. So I'm here to make another similar type of video. Jubilee has another series on their channel called Middle Ground, where they have people from opposing positions on a certain issue or a certain topic come and give their perspectives on that issue. So for today's video, I'm going to be playing along or reacting or whatever you want to call it to the video titled Traditional versus Trans. Are there more than two genders? There were some things said in this video that just it just ticked me off a little bit, you know? I'm like, I wish I was there so I could just, you know, correct some of the things that these people were saying. Correct. I mean, I guess there's no correct answer to these questions, but I feel like some of these answers are a little bit ill-informed. I post new videos here on my channel twice a week, so if you guys are not yet subscribed and you would like to be, go ahead and do that right now. I'll wait for you. You guys really liked when I did this last time, so. Are you done? Thank you very much. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to keep as up to date with me as possible. And I also have a Patreon, so if you guys like the work that I do here on my channel and you would like to donate, the link for that is down below as well. And yeah, with no further ado, let's get right into today's video. So like I said, this video is titled Traditional versus Trans. Are there more than two genders? By traditional, I'm assuming they mean cisgender. I don't know why they would do traditional versus trans. Maybe they're just trying to go for that little alliteration moment. It's going to be cisgender versus transgender, basically. So similar to the last Jubilee video that I did, I am going to give my answers to these questions before I listen to the responses from the other people. And then I will give, you know, some time for the other responses to be heard as well. And then if I have any critiques or things that I want to add on or say, you know, in response to them, then I'll do that at that time. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna scoot over a little so I give them some room to talk.
Girls and boys should be raised the same.
Okay. First question. Wait, I want to see who comes out and then I'll answer. All right, so all the trans people came out, all the cis people did not come out. Interesting, that's kind of what I assumed would happen. But so if I was there, I would also come out and respond in the affirmative, saying that I do believe that, you know, boys and girls should be raised the same. Obviously, there are conversations that you would have with people that are born female and some conversations that you would only have with people born male, like conversations about menstruation, conversations about, you know, puberty, all that kind of stuff. They're going to be different conversations for each of the sexes. That being said, I don't really think that having those separate conversations or those individualized conversations with each of them necessarily means that you're going to be raising boys and girls differently. I think that when you're raising a child of any gender, it's important to teach them to be, you know, productive members of society, nice people. I don't know, like just like the basic things. Obviously, that's not me saying that you need to give all children gender neutral clothing, gender neutral toys, all that kind of stuff. Like you need to raise them the exact same. But I'm just saying that, you know, we shouldn't allow boys to grow up thinking that violence is okay. Boys will be boys. I hate that kind of stuff. I don't think that we should be teaching boys that, you know, they need to provide for women, or, you know, women that they need to be provided for, that they need to be the nurturing one in the relationship. I don't really think that that's appropriate anymore. But yeah, that's just my answer. So let's see what they have to say, and then, you know, we'll talk about it.
The reason why I feel like girls and boys should be raised the same, I'm saying just raising them to be upstanding citizens in society and things like that.
Exactly. Not to say that like gender doesn't exist, but to give young people an ability to navigate that themselves.
I actually agree with a lot of your points as far as there are a lot of similarities between boys and girls growing up, and I believe that all children should be raised in a loving, supportive family. But I think that there does need to be balance and just some of the characteristics that men and women have, where it's like women usually are more nurturing. With boys, they want to grow up and like, what does it mean to be a man? And what does it mean to be a provider? What does it mean to lead your family? And those are the things that are traditional to me, where I feel like the man is the head of the household.
Okay, like she had me in the beginning. She was saying some kind of nice things, like usually girls are more nurturing, which like if somebody grows up to be a very nurturing person, that's like totally like up to them. But she totally lost me when she said that men should grow up to be the head of the household. They should grow up to, you know, expect to take care of their family, all that kind of stuff. Like, sweetie, I don't need no man to take care of me. I don't need no man to provide anything for me. I'm good. Some sexist ass shit right there, if I do say so myself. Men do not need to protect women. They do not need to provide for women, period. I think that if anybody has a child, they should provide for them. But I don't really think that's what she's saying. I think that she is saying that men should be raised to take care of their wife, basically.
And I feel like in our society now, when a girl is raised and she feels like a tomboy, acts like a tomboy, she's now encouraged to kind of think, maybe I should have been born as a guy.
I hate this argument. I hate that argument so much. I'm trying to be very respectful. Like, I truly, truly believe that everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and, you know, it's fine. Think what you want. I feel like she's referring to the trans movement specifically, saying that, like, when a young person displays any characteristics or any traits or any behaviors that are similar to the opposite sex, then they are encouraged or pushed to transition, or pushed to think that maybe they are, you know, transgender. If anything, I feel like the transgender movement is much, much more accepting than the traditional movement, and that we think that you can, you know, be who you are no matter what. Like, if you are a girl who wants to dress like a boy, who wants to act like a boy, who wants to behave like a boy, play with boy things, that's fine. We're not saying that you need to be a boy to do those things. We're just saying that if you feel like a boy, if your internal sense of gender is a boy, then, like, you know, you might be a boy. But this whole terminology encouraging and pushing kids to transition is just, it's not accurate.
My family would use my tomboy statement to write it off and minimize the fact that, no, I actually really don't like being a girl. Sometimes, like you said, there's actually genuine tomboys in the world. With me, nah, that wasn't, it was way more than that.
Oh, that's what's really important. I don't think as an 8-year-old you should know that label. You know what I mean? I don't think we should know labels, period.
That's a really, really interesting thing to say. And I kind of agree. I don't really think that, you know, we should push these labels or anything like that. But when your child comes to you and says, I'm a girl, maybe think about it a little, go a little deeper, maybe talk to their pediatrician, whoever. Like, I feel like for most trans kids, it's a very persistent, very consistent, very, like, insistent, demanding that they're, you know, a boy, that they are not a girl. It's not just that they are a tomboy, or it's not just that they are a feminine boy. That's just not how it is, and that's very minimizing of how trans children experience their identity.
There are only 2 genders.
Okay, so again, all the cis people are coming out. That is what I expected to happen. The cis people are going to come out and be like, DNA. So here's the thing. I think in Western culture, in our culture, we do recognize that there are 2 main gender, like, binaries. However, that's not necessarily the case in other cultures and other societies. You know, in Native American cultures, they had people that referred to themselves as Two-Spirit. We have the Hijras in India, I believe. I think that in Hawaii, they have a specific name for the 3rd gender. Throughout all of history, literally since the beginning of, you know, the documentation that we have on gender, there have been 3rd gender or alternate gender identities. It hasn't just been the 2. So this 2 gender idea is really just like a new thing, honestly. However, I don't think that those binaries are the only place that people can experience their gender identity. Obviously, like I said, throughout all of history, people have perceived themselves as 3rd genders. If I had to answer the question, how many genders are there? I don't think I really could. I definitely recognize that, you know, most people fall into one of the 2 gender binaries, but that doesn't mean that there's only 2 genders. Like, people can experience their gender in a variety of ways. So when people say there are infinite genders, or there are 72 genders, or there are hundreds and hundreds of genders, it's kind of accurate, because you can fall anywhere on this gender spectrum. And however you define your own gender, however you experience your own gender, is perfectly valid.
Your DNA is going to be the same from when you're born and until you die. And it doesn't matter how you dress yourselves or what hormones you take. I mean, you're either going to be a male or a woman. You have those chromosomes in your body. There are certain things about yourself that are going to stay the same your whole life, and you have to accept those and embrace them, because if you don't embrace them, you're just going to be hating yourself.
Somebody needs to explain to this girl the difference between gender and sex. Call me a snowflake, call me a lib, whatever you want to say. That's just, like, not accurate. When you talk about biological characteristics of being a male or a female, you're referring to sex.
There's nothing in life I've ever wanted more than to be normal. And
What is that, though? Really?
Exactly. That's the problem. That is the problem I run into, is that it doesn't really exist. And every attempt that I've made to try and be more like one gender or the other hasn't really worked. So finally, I just got to a place where I was like, well, people may say that there isn't anything in between, but I am in between.
On a spectrum of, like, masculinity and femininity, couldn't you lie anywhere?
Well, it's like the tomboy idea that a girl can feel and have these more masculine. Doesn't mean she's not a girl. There's a spectrum, but there's 2 definitive parts to the spectrum.
So then would would me, being born male, biologically male, would you say I'm 100% male?
Well, you made the transition, so you didn't feel like a male.
I will be honest and say I feel I use the chromosomes, but I would say you are under 100% a male.
Honestly, at least she just said it with her fucking gut. Like, at least she has the courage to stick to what she believes, unlike these other 2 girls.
Scientifically, you are one thing and you'll always be a male, scientifically. You can express yourself however you want to the world, and hopefully the world accepts you for who you want to be and who you are. But when it comes to the spectrum, I mean, there are not that many transgender people in this world when it comes down to it. In LA, there's a bigger population.
You just don't see us.
I should be allowed to use the bathroom that matches my gender identity.
All in that.
Do I think that people should really use the bathroom of their gender identity? Yes. 100%. Do I have to talk about it? Do I have to like go any farther? All right, I'll go a little farther. I mean, it's just like a pros and cons thing. You know what I'm saying? Like the pros of people using the bathroom that they like, they feel safe, they feel comfortable in the bathroom. Cons, there aren't really any. I mean, people can say like, oh, they're gonna attack the little girls in the women's bathroom, but that just doesn't happen. And if it did happen, like that's already illegal. Like I don't.
With all of my heart, have respect for, again, like I said before, whatever you feel you should live, you know? However, with that said, if I had a little girl, and if you're not completely transitioned,
You don't want them to be exposed to that
maybe
soon?
not yet, maybe not yet, that is a right.
Before I transitioned, when I was still confused as to what I wanted to do and who I was, and it was really difficult, but I decided to use the women's restroom still because I did not feel safe in the men's restroom.
I do agree that you should be able to go where you feel comfortable. However, the line that I would draw is if we were one day to say all bathrooms should be just open for anybody.
It's interesting how we get so hung up on trans folks in bathrooms when it seems like the underlying fear might be that men are predators and that we are afraid of predatory men, either posing as trans women or just in general. Having gender-neutral restrooms, maybe if they're not all the restrooms, but some restrooms that are gender-neutral, would just be good for everybody's safety.
Gender should not be based on how you feel.
So I do not think that gender should not be based on how you feel. So I think that it is based on how you feel. However, a lot of people interpret that to be that you can choose your gender and that you can just pick to be a boy or a girl. Your gender identity is your gender identity. Like I can't choose to be a boy. If I could have, I would have. And I tried so hard to be a boy for so long. It's not a choice.
To come and tell me, you know, we're gonna be born and I'm just gonna decide what I'm gonna be.
Nobody is saying that you decide what you want to be. Nobody. You may decide to transition, but when you make that decision to transition, you're deciding to be yourself.
First, yeah, you're born. You're a woman or a man.
Nobody's born a man. Nobody. Even cisgender men are not born men. A man is an adult, not a baby, okay?
At the word decide. I did not wait till 18 and decide, I'm gonna be a man today. Everything in my power, I did not actually want to be transgender. The decision that I made was being authentically me.
The thing about gender is you don't choose your gender. Your gender is something that develops over time. It's very fluid. There's no denying that. I mean, I was born male. Right. No denying. But, you know, my government papers all say female because that's who I am. I started transitioning until I was 32. I didn't come out to my dad until I was 33. And that, I come from a very conservative family, but I didn't want to lose my dad. When you think you might lose something that you love, it's really hard to go forward and make that decision.
That whole internal battle of, you know, do I choose happiness for myself or do I choose family? Do I choose having these people I love around me? It's not it's not an easy choice to make. It's not a choice that anybody should have to make, but it is. It is.
I would support my child if they were trans.
If you're not going to support them for being trans, if you're not going to support them if they're gay, don't have a kid.
Everyone that's born on this earth is special, and we're all lucky to be alive and be on this planet and have the opportunity to experience our lives and experience love. And I'm not going to be influencing them and saying, no, this is the right way of living, you have to live this way, but I'm gonna say you need to carefully consider, really think about it and think about the social implications.
Yeah, because when trans people fucking decide to transition, they don't think about the social implications. They don't think about how their life is gonna be altered. They don't think about how they're gonna have to be afraid every single time they leave their house. They might get murdered, or they might lose their job, they might lose their house, or they might lose people that they love. Yeah, we haven't thought about that.
If it wasn't something I agree with, would I love them? Would I be there for them? Would I support them? Would I have the conversations? Yes. Would I say I agree with you? No.
You know, if I had grown up in a place where I felt loved and accepted unconditionally, I think that I would have saved myself a lot of therapy and a lot of self-work.
Even with this discussion, it drives the point home about how important family is, how important love is, how important it is to really support. No matter how you feel or how you're raised, like, this world can really break you down. So that's why for me, like, family is so important, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think that we should be doing a better job in raising our children and loving on them.
Okay, well, at least it was a nice little ending, you know? At least she's like, okay, we need to support people for, you know, being a person. I really, really do agree with that last part. I think that having a supportive family around you, especially if you're trans or if you're LGBT at all, is really, really crucial. The fact of the matter is, a lot of trans people deal with a lot of mental health issues, and they do deal with a lot of, you know, self-worth issues, and a lot of trans people do attempt to take their own life or do successfully take their own life, and that risk or that statistic is significantly lowered when they have a supportive family around them. I know just from my own personal experience that I don't think I could have done this without the support of my family. I know that I definitely would not want to do this without the support of my family. And it just really just breaks my heart so much that there are trans people out there, there are LGBT people out there are just kids out there that don't have that unconditional love that a parent should give you. Okay guys, that was the last question in the Jubilee video. I hope I did a good job answering these questions. I hope that you guys were playing along as well down below. And this time, unlike the last Jubilee video, you don't have to be trans to play along. Anybody can play along. If you do decide to play along, though, let me know if you're cis or trans, just because, you know, that's like the whole point of the video. If you guys like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up down below. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already and you would like to be. Thank you, Jubilee, for making these incredible videos. Keep them coming. Love to see them. And yeah, other than that, I think I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye, guys.